Okay, you guys, this unit. Okay, you guys. Shh. TJ, Zach, let's get started. If you look at the schedule, okay, we're doing, it's right triangle. We're doing the coordinate geometry to begin with. Okay, you guys? This is going to be slope, writing equations of lines, midpoints. It should be review. I know it's review of our quadratic class. It should be review for algebra in 8th grade as well. Notice the schedule. Okay, guys? We're going 1 through 3 in RT1, then we're going to jump to RT2. You don't have to worry about it. It's all going to go in order in the folder. Then we have review. Now, we can take the test Thursday and have a question day on Friday or whatever, or we could have the test on Friday if we need more time. That's the plan. We're not going to start something new on Friday. Yeah. Bring some games. Yeah. But if you need the test on Friday because you're not ready, rather see us do that.
So we're
Yeah.
not doing anything
I don't have a plan.
today?
No, for next week, Friday. We're going to find the midpoint of a segment today.
Oh, yay.
Okay, that's not bad, but finding the endpoint, it can be tricky, but I'm going to give you a way to do that. Okay, what is a midpoint? Garrett?
Midpoint. Like the
What does that mean?
oh,
It's the point that's in the middle, right?
yeah.
Halfway. So if I want, you guys, if I have this, now the y values aren't changing, I want to find the point that's halfway. Where is that?
It's the 4-7.
It's at 4, 7. Now sometimes you can just look at it and see the halfway point. Sometimes you'll say, well, I'm going to subtract 8 minus 0, that's 4. Either add 4 to 8 or subtract 4 from 8 and I'll get to 4. But you know what? The easier way to do it is it's an average.
You mean 8 minus 4?
The total distance is 8. So what's half of 8?
What you said 8 minus 0.
Yes? 8 minus 0. No. 8 minus 0 gives me 8, and I want halfway.
All right.
Okay, Zach. Now, that's one way to do it. That's the hard way to do it. Cole. The easy way is just like trapezoids, and actually, if you were in quadratic last year, you did parabolas. If you were not here, if you were in 8th grade, you probably didn't do parabolas. It's the easy way to find the axis of symmetry. All I do is add them up, 0 plus 8, and I divide by 2. It's an average. A midpoint is an average. That's an average. How do you average two numbers? You add them up and divide by how many numbers you have. Okay, Cole? So what if we're in a coordinate plane now and it's not horizontal, like this one? I'm going to look at the x's. I want to get halfway between -5 and 3. So the x midpoint, I'm going to add them up, -5 plus 3, and divide by 2. What is that going to give me, Cole? -2 over 2 is what? -1. A midpoint is an ordered pair. Question, Cole? How about the y's? To find the y's, I'm going to take the y values. So the midpoint for the y's is equal to 4 plus a -6 divided by 2. So what's that going to give me? -2 over 2, which is -1. Now, as long as you clearly write down that this is the y coordinate and that's the x coordinate, I'll accept that. If you just give me the -1 and the -1 kind of floating on a piece of paper, no, I need to know what you're talking about. So I'm going to write it as an ordered pair, then it's very clear. So either you give me this label there with that, or you put it in an ordered pair. I prefer the ordered pair, actually. Okay, so what's the formula? We just average them up and divide by 2. So I'm going to actually have a formula. Okay, the x midpoint is adding the first x coordinate plus the second x coordinate and dividing by 2. Because when I'm given the midpoint and an endpoint, I want to find the other endpoint. I'm going to use the formula to do that. Okay, TJ? So what do you think, TJ, the y formula would be? Except it's with y1, y2 over 2. So this means midpoint. Maybe I wasn't clear in my other class. That's a midpoint. So some of the problems are fairly easy. Tomorrow we're going to do slope. Okay, and slope is critical to going on in math because you do everything with slope all the way through calculus and beyond. So slope is important. Okay, ready? Okay, so I'm going to put it right here. xm is equal to x1 plus x2 over 2. And y midpoint is equal to, whoops, y1 plus y2 over 2. And remember, it's a point. It's an ordered pair. So you got to do both. It's a coordinate. X and Y are going to have both. See if that does too much, yeah. There. You either clearly label and say the X midpoint is this, or you write as an ordered pair, which is faster and easier to write it as an ordered pair. Some of you get the X's and Y's mixed up, so be careful with that. And the X's and Y's are alphabetical. That's how I remember it. Okay, we ready? Okay, so I want to find the midpoint of AB. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. I'm going to write X, Y, and I'm going to put in 3, -7, and -11, 13, because there's 4 numbers there, and you know what you guys do? You get confused and you mess them up. So I want to do the X's. Well, I don't think that's going to work. Let's try that color. And the X's are these guys. So X midpoint equals x1 plus x2 over 2. What are the x coordinates? TJ? 3 plus a -11 over 2, which gives you what? -8 over 2 is -4. Clearly labeled, that's my midpoint, my x coordinate for the midpoint. And the y formula is y1 plus y2 over 2. Some of you don't like to use the formulas, and you'll just do the answer. And that's okay on this, but when you try to go finding the midpoint, finding the endpoint given the midpoint, you might have some problems with it. I'm just a little worried about that. And the formula, think of it as a tool. Some of you will memorize how to find that endpoint, but the problem is in 2 years when you do this on the ACT, you'll have forgotten your memorization. So if you don't understand where it comes from, it's just an average and it's easy. So now I want to do these guys. What are the y values? Current? -7 plus 13 over 2, which is what? 6 over 2, which is 3. And let's write it as an ordered pair. -4, 3. If it's written in the wrong order, it's wrong. Yeah, except now we're going to find an endpoint given the midpoint. Yeah, a little bit more. And then I have a packet for you. But you should easily get it done. Ready? Doesn't look like a comma, does it? It's a comma. Now, I'm given the midpoint. Now, find the midpoint. Okay, you guys do this one. You should be able to do this. You can do it in your head. Except, sometimes we get fractions, don't we? Now, if you want me to write it this way, does this help? Pardon? Those are the x's. So you're going to do x midpoint is going to be 10 plus a -1 over 2. Does that bother you? What's 10 plus a -1? Not -9. 9 halves. Now, what's wrong with 9 halves? It's half of $9, $4.50. Leave it 9 halves. You don't have to get your calculator out and divide it. What about the y midpoints? What are they? Negative 7 plus negative 15 over 2. PJ, what's that answer? Negative what? 22 over 2 is? Okay.
Is it 9 over 2? Isn't that 4.5?
It is, well, why change it? Nothing wrong with 9 halves. We have to get rid of our fear of fractions. Fractions are okay. Okay, now for the hard ones. Okay, you guys? These are the hard ones. Some of you will find other ways to do this. I'm going to write the formula down. Okay, you guys? This is xm. This is ym. This is either x1 or x2. It doesn't matter. Okay, so finding the x midpoint, it's x1 plus x2 over 2. And you're saying, yeah, I know that. And you're right, you do. But what goes where now? What's the x-coordinate for the midpoint? For the midpoint. I want to put that number in there.
1.
It's 1. So that goes right there. 1 equals, what's the x-coordinate for one of the endpoints? Negative 4. Excellent. Plus, whoops. And it's plus x2 over 2. Well, you know what? That's a proportion. Cole, do you remember how to solve proportions?
Yes.
You remember it cross multiplying?
Yeah.
What's 1 times 2? 2 equals negative 4 plus x2. They're all done the same way. Some of you, like I said, will memorize. I don't care. If the problem is complicated, then I care. But these aren't complicated. So what am I going to do to both sides? Add 4. Remember how to solve equations, yes?
Why are you doing that?
Because I want to find the end point, not the midpoint. I'm given the midpoint. So my x-coordinate is 6. Now I got to find the y-coordinate.
What's the formula for that?
It's the midpoint is given by the sum of the two endpoints over 2. Okay, so what's the y midpoint? It's not 5. Nope. I want the y midpoint. It's what? It's 1.
No, but the final.
Oh, that may be. What goes here?
Oh, 5.
Lane, what goes here?
Yeah.
5 plus the other y value over 2. And they're all the same. You just cross multiply. So what happens when I multiply those guys together? 2 equals 5 plus y2. When I subtract 5, I'm not going to get 4. What am I going to get? Yes. And my answers, I haven't checked them, are online. With all my work. And I did all my problems like this. I didn't just come up with an answer. I might be able to, but I don't usually do that. Cole. Yes. It didn't. I solved. This is minus 4, so I added 4 to make it go away. I'm solving my equation there. Oh, so it's 6, negative 3. Well, we got one more slide, and guess what? You guys get to try that one. Now, put the numbers in the right places. The midpoint one has to go over here on the left side, the xm or the ym. Has to go in right here. And then you always get a proportion, you always cross multiply, and you solve. So it's once you get into doing these, it's not that bad. You will do some in some coordinate geometry, though. Ready? Those of you who are ready, go ahead and try the next one. That would be Zach. Okay, there it is. I'll even write the formula down. xm equals x1 plus x2 over 2. Yeah, there are probably other ways to do it. You could do some counting, but if the numbers aren't nice, and negative 5.5 is not that hard, but it's not nice like the other numbers. This way always works. And you want a tool, think of this as a tool to find those. I can't do it in my head. I have to work it out. Well, I probably might be able to. What is it?
6 and 3 halves.
No. Anybody want to go up and write it up there? No. Let's do this. What is the x coordinate for the midpoint?
Negative 5.5.
-5.5. Equals x1. Oh, I know x1. What's x1? -7 plus x2 over 2. Now, it's got to be relatively close to that. You could do some counting too. That's another thing you could do. Okay, now when you cross multiply, what's 2 times 5.5 without a calculator?
Is
11. Not squared. 2 times that is -11 equals -7 plus x2. Was your answer reasonable? Look where your numbers are. No, it's good. And that's, as long as I've been teaching, asking students to see if their answers are reasonable has always been a problem. Everybody just kind of wants to get to the answer. No, we got to see if our answer makes sense. So what's x2 equal to?
So you have to
4. It's okay.
I'll get the y.
Okay, get the y. The y's easier. I think the y is 9. What's the y? Okay, and I was there's a little hesitation there because I don't do it well without writing it down. So write it down. So write the formula is right there. In place of ym, you put 2. I can't read that. Sorry, it's right there. What are you going to put in for ym?
Y.
What are you going to put in for ym? That's -11.
Right in Chinese, translated.
Yeah, it's right here.
That's what I did.
What are you going to put right there?
Chinese is my name.
Zach, help me out. Whoops, not there. What are you going to put right there? The midpoint y coordinate.
Oh, I get it.
What goes there?
2.
It's 2. What goes in the other spot?
2.
What's the y value on the endpoint?
Oh, -5. And you have to find the second endpoint. I get it.
That's right.
My mind was. Okay.
How about you guys? Did you guys get it? Did you get it?
No, I'm good.
Oh, you got to ask it. Yeah. Then you cross multiply. So 2 times 2 is 4.
Yeah,
Because that's why we're here. Yeah, you can. Yes? You'll have to turn it in, and I'm really slow about getting those done.